And we're back with more Top Line with Amanda Carpenter of the Washington Times. Amanda, thanks so much for joining us. So the big story today, breaking this morning, is that President Obama is going to head to Copenhagen at the end of the week. Now, I think we're going to be talking about this for the next couple of days, but this is interesting. It's this final push for the IOC making this decision on the 2016 Olympics on Friday, and they're really bringing out the big guns. You have secretaries going, Oprah, as we said, and now President Obama. Will this make a big difference? Will this be the deciding factor?
You know, the Olympic Independent Committee prides itself on being, I've even heard them being described a little bit as standoffish. So I think this has a great capacity to backfire. You have the First Lady going, President Obama going, of course, lobbying for his hometown of Chicago, which draws into question from a number of conservative critics wondering if he's somehow paying off Mayor Daley. So you're going to have all those stories coming out as well. But if they do go, and they do say no, which I think there is a pretty good chance of, because they could be offended by this massive public relations push and they want to act like they're not being influenced by the Americans, it's going to look bad. And I think a lot of people are questioning if this is the best use of his time, especially with the big news coming out about Iran, Afghanistan, and even in the CBS News report with General McChrystal. There was a huge revelation in that interview where he said that he has only spoken to President Obama once since he's taken command of Afghanistan. And I think if people contrast that with taking a trip to Denmark, there's a lot of people on both sides of the aisle that won't be happy.
But playing devil's advocate just quickly, isn't he competing with other heads of state? I mean, doesn't he kind of have to show up?
For the Olympic meeting?
Yeah.
I will say I'm not sure it's in the president's interest to conduct himself in this manner when we're conducting a war. The First Lady, if she wanted to go, I don't think people would have a huge problem with that. But again, it's a question of resources, and is this the best use of his time? And he's obviously conflicted because it is his hometown. There's a number of political connections there.
And if Chicago gets the Olympic bid, does the conversation go away, and is everybody happy that they get it, or are we still going to talk about it?
I think the questions will still continue, because it's like, well, why did they choose Chicago? What's the payback? I mean, the conservative blogs will be firing on that on all cylinders, I'm sure of it. But of course, it would help the economy and all that kind of stuff. But again, it's a question of resources.
Now, in weeks past, President Obama said he would not go to Copenhagen. He was going to send the First Lady, send surrogates, because he didn't want to be out of pocket during the healthcare debate. Now, obviously, healthcare has not been wrapped up yet. We're still going forward on, in the Senate, trying to come to a bill at this point. Tomorrow, the Senate Finance Committee is going to vote on amendments, one of them being the public insurance option. What can we expect over the next couple of days? And kind of a twofold question. Last week, the president was completely out of pocket on healthcare as well, with all the foreign policy news. Is he risking that again this week of letting that get away from him?
Definitely. I think foreign policy is dominated all the newspapers this morning. If you look on the front covers of them, hardly anyone was talking about healthcare, talking about the run-up to this vote. If, in the absence of foreign relations news, you would have all that kind of build-up. What's going to happen, naming the amendments that might be voted on. That was largely absent from the morning news cycle. We'll see what happens tonight. But if people are worried about Iran, they obviously are. McChrystal is talking. And that raises worries about what Obama's strategy will be when he will announce it. And when people feel threatened in terms of their safety, that trumps health care coverage.
Since we have you sitting right here, can I ask you, as we kind of look forward to what is going to be a pretty important meeting about Iran's nuclear program on Thursday, what do you think realistically we could expect from that meeting, do you think?
I think you're going to see a lot of, we'll come out and talk later. I mean, I will say this. I would like to see Obama rely on his cabinet a little bit more. Hillary Clinton has been isolated. She's a smart lady. She was put in that position for a reason. And where is she? Where is Janet Napolitano on Homeland Security? We had the people getting arrested, the guy going from Colorado to New York. Where are these other dominant figures? Obama is relying on his personal charisma, I think, in a way that puts himself at a risk of being overexposed, overextended, because he has a strong cabinet. And I think the public would do good in seeing them talk about what is their expertise.
Is that something that you think the White House have they made a misstep by relying too much on someone who they say remains to be, he's the best messenger. They keep saying that time and time again, especially in the healthcare debate. They're like, listen, this is a guy who, despite some equivocation and some doubts about healthcare policy, he remains personally popular.
Sure he is, and he's put himself in the position of pushing the healthcare plan, but I think he needs to delegate his duties a little bit when it comes to other areas.
We're going to have to leave it on that note, Amanda, but thank you so much for joining us. We'll keep an eye on things as they go this week. Healthcare, Iran, Afghanistan, and the Olympics. I'm Karen Travers in Washington.
And I'm Rachel Martin. Thanks for joining us.